So for probably about the last month, or maybe a little bit more, it seems like every time I get on Facebook, there's somebody commenting about this new upcoming rapper or musician, whatever you want to call him. His music, I personally think, is absolutely terrible. I honestly can't see how anyone would actually think that it's good. But, to each your own. There's a lot of stuff that I like that's absolutely horrible to other people as well. But this rapper, I thought I'd look into him a little bit. I believe his name is pronounced Little Yachty. Maybe it's Yachty. I really don't know. I really don't care. But the thing is that when I looked him up, he actually has some connections to Kanye West. And oddly enough, as I was making this post, somebody commented on one of my old videos about Kanye West. It came out on 7/6 of 2015 is when I put this video out. So how weird that I'm talking about the connections to Kanye West and this new rapper, and then somebody comments on it. I'll talk about that as we move on. I just want to go through and look at a little bit of the gematria with this guy. I honestly don't even know how famous he is or anything, but he does have a lot of interesting connections, even in regards to the death of Prince. So, like I said, you can go on YouTube, listen to his stuff, but he has one of his most famous songs is called Minnesota, and it came out just before the death of Prince, which I'll talk about. But anyway, his name in gematria, Little Yachty, 43 the small way, 115 the big way. His real name also Miles McCollum, and Miles McCollum in gematria equals 51 and 150. And if you read through here, it says that in February 2016, he debuted as a model in Kanye West's Yeezy Season 3 fashion line at Madison Square Garden. So I thought, how interesting. I've talked a lot about Kanye West and Freemasonry and just lots of things that he's connected to. The Paris attacks with his clothing line. He had the clothing line that looked like ISIS, or what people were shown on the news of people from ISIS wearing clothes like that. He also had the shirt Pray for Paris in 2012. Anyway, in gematria, Kanye West equals 51, just like Miles McCollum. Kanye West, also remember, in Jewish gematria equals 1551, like the mirrors, 15 and 51. If you write out Yeezy Season 3, it equals 115, just like Little Yachty. Just like the word Scottish Rite Freemasonry, or the phrase Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Remember last year at the VMAs, I made a video about how Taylor Swift was up on stage talking about when she was just a little kid, Kanye was studying the craft, right? And then there's the whole thing with Taylor Swift and Beyonce Knowles and Kanye West. Taylor Swift in gematria also equals 51, just like Kanye West, just like Miles McCollum, just like the word conspiracy. So anyway, his Little Yachty's mixtape, his debut mixtape, is called Lil Boat, and it came out on March 9th of 2016, 3/9 or 9/3. It also came out 167 days before his 19th birthday, which is interesting because the 167 is the 39th prime number, and then this album comes out on 3/9, so 167 days before his birthday. The album comes out on 3/9. He also, like I said, has a song called Minnesota, and it's horrible. It's just like, call like Minnesota, call like Minnesota. That's the whole song. I don't even understand it. But moral of the story, Minnesota reminds me a lot of Prince and the death of Prince. That song and this album just so happened to come out 1 month, 12 days before Prince died on the 112th day of the year. And remember, there was a whole lot of 112 around the death of Prince. Even The Simpsons killed him off on November 2nd, 11/2. So also, 43 days. Remember, Lil Yachty equals 43 the small way. Prince died 4 months, 3 days before I made this post even. I thought that was pretty interesting, that for some odd reason I make this post on this day that's connected to Prince. Also, Lil Yachty made his debut in Kanye's Yeezy Season 3, and it debuted on February 11th, which can be written as 11/2, a lot like 112. It's also the 42nd day of the year. The word Freemason equals 42. Lil Yachty in Jewish gematria equals 961, just like the word elevator. Remember, Prince died in an elevator? You know, maybe not a super strong connection, but pretty interesting that he would drop his album 1 month, 12 days before Prince dies on the 112th day of the year, and then his name in Jewish gematria even matches up with where Prince died. Anyway, his 2 hit singles then are called Minnesota and One Night. Minnesota equals 38, Prince equals 38, Chanhassen equals 38, a ton of 38 in regards to Prince's death. But they both also equal 47 in gematria. I found that interesting, that his 2 hits equal 47. So anyway, let's look at this comment that I got. And you know, I hate calling people out. Maybe this is a real person, and for whatever the reason, somehow it just happened, and that's whatever. But a lot of things that are connected to this person sync up to Freemasonry. And also, and every time that this happens, the numbers always sync up to Freemasonry. Right after I put out my Prince video, like within a half an hour, they copyright struck an old video. It was connected to 165, Scottish Rite equals 165, and there was a whole bunch of 165. They also showed me 134 and 135, and if, you know, Scottish Rite Freemasonry equals 115. If you write out 134, it equals 115. If you write out 135, it equals 115. All of these numbers, when they do this, when I get a weird comment or whatever, or a copyright strike, it always goes back to numbers connected to Freemasonry. So, you know, possibly nothing, but it sure seems like somehow people are watching what I'm doing, and they're telling me that they're watching me or something, you know. Even this icon here of the green alligator, if you've been following, like, my videos, I've talked a whole lot about how the boy who got ate by the alligator in Orlando at Disney World is connected to the area that I live in. So I just find that very, very interesting. But let's look at it here for a second. So they comment category and then colon education. If you write that out, it equals 85 and 175. I'm not so sure what that means. Interesting, though. If you write out education, it equals 38 and also 92, just like his Lil Yachty's 2 famous songs. One Night, 92 the big way, Minnesota equals 38. If you write out category, it equals 47, just like both of his hit singles. Also, the person who comments, Gannon Bros, if you write that out in gematria, it equals 42 and 105. The word Freemason equals 42. The word Masonry equals 105. So also, the only video this person has on their channel says Payday 2 Rats DW. So it's Payday 2 Rats Death Wish. If you write that out, Payday 2 Rats DW, how they have it on there, it equals 62 and 215. Remember, Lil Yachty's real name, his full name, Miles Parks McCollum, equals 215. It also reminds me of the death of Vanity, who was Prince's protege, who died on 215. She died 67 days before Prince died. Prince was born on 6/7. The word blood sacrifice equals 67. Interestingly enough, my name, Daniel Barrett, equals 67 as well. But also on this Payday 2 Rats DW, the small way 62, the word Mason equals 62. If you write it out, Payday 2 Rat's Death Wish, without the DW, it equals 96, just like the word Freemason. Also, the date that this happened was August 24th. 8 plus 24 plus 20 plus 16 equals 68. The boy that got ate by the alligator, his name equals 68. The town that I live in equals 68. The only thing that's famous in this town is that they killed the last keeper of the sacred pole of the Omaha Indians, Chief Yellow Smoke. They killed him in 1868. And then the town, they were going to come to the town and kill everybody in the town. But the Freemasons went outside in their Freemason garb, and the Indians somehow knew Masonic hand signals and believed them that the people who killed them had fled town. I mean, give me a break. Also, Lil Yachty's album came out on March 9th. This year it was the 69th day of the year, but normally in a non-leap year, it is the 68th day of the year. Kanye West also turned 39 years old this year on 6/8. And believe it or not, just before I started looking into this rapper, the last video that I watched on YouTube or Facebook was this video right here. And why I was watching it, who knows, but this guy's like trying to, I don't know what he's doing, but he ends up putting his hand in the alligator's mouth and the alligator bites down. I mean, just how weird is that? And I even talked about Lane Graves, the death of him, in regards to Happy Gilmore that I've talked about a whole lot in regards to earthquakes. But Chubbs Peterson, he gets his hand bit off by the alligator. Chubbs Peterson in Gematria equals 68. I even talked about how it's connected to Peter Pan. Because, you know, Peter Pan and Captain Hook and the alligator. Peter Pan equals 41 and 95. Alligator equals 41 and 95. The town that I live in is 41 degrees north, 95 degrees west. Also, in regards to Kanye West equaling 15 and 51, and Lil Yachty's real name, Miles McCollum, equals 51, Taylor Swift equals 51. Remember, Donald Trump is also 15 years, 51 days older than Barack Obama, and both of their names in Gematria, Donald John Trump equals 68, Barack Obama equals 68. Literally, Prince Charles equals 68, Pope Francis equals 68. It must be some super special number. The World Trade Center was even, the construction began on August 6th, which can be written as 6/8 of 1968, 33 years before the plane supposedly hit it. If you write out the word 68, it equals 56. 56 number super surrounded with Kanye West. I've talked about his whole family. His daughter's name, Nori, equals 56. Kim Kardashian equals 56. If you just write out Kanye, it equals 56. I talked about how he was connected to Paris, France, and whatnot. Paris, France equals 56. ISIS equals 56. Osama bin Laden equals 56. Adolf Hitler equals 56. Saddam Hussein equals 56. Lots and lots of 56 in regards to big events. So, I also put this video out on July 6th, which is 7/6 or 6/7. Like I said, my name equals 67. Talking about all the stuff connected to Prince as well. Prince was born on 6/7 or June 7th. The date numerology that I put this out on was 48. Also, if you do 8 plus 24 plus 16, it's 48. So the day that I made this post also had a date numerology of 48. The last video that I even made was about Flight 214 that happened on 7/6. There's a whole lot of stuff connected to 7/6. Even the Kwame Brown stuff. Kwame Brown supposedly wants to come back to the NBA, and he announces it on Kobe Bryant's birthday. And remember how the Lakers beat the Warriors this year, the same day that Nancy Reagan died. Nancy Reagan was born on 7/6. And they were copyright striking and leaving weird comments on old videos clear back then, showing me to the date of September 19th. Now check this out. Well, you know what? I can't look at it anymore. How interesting is that? I just looked at it like a half hour ago, and you could click on the About, and it said that this channel was created on September 19th of 2008. And now you can't do it. Maybe let's refresh the page here. Yeah, you could click on all kinds of stuff on this page. You could click the About. and you look at all their videos and whatnot. Now you can't do it. How odd is that, you know? So, whatever, you know, that kind of proves my point. I wish I would have taken a screenshot now. I didn't think it would disappear. Just messed up. And I didn't notice it until after re-looking through it, so ridiculous how it just disappears all of a sudden. Also, another interesting thing, I guess, so, I mean, there's something significant about 9/19. They've been showing it to me for 2 years. So whether anything's going to happen that day, I don't know. But that date seems to be very, very significant. It's the 262nd day of the year in a regular year. Last year, Pope Francis went to Cuba on the 262nd day in 9/19. 26 weeks, 2 days later, Obama went to Cuba. 262 days after Pope Francis went to Cuba, Hillary Clinton clinched the nomination. The word Clinton equals 262 in Jewish gematria. The CNN headline even said the struggle continues and gematria equals 262. There's something very special about it. I even talked about, in regards to Queen Elizabeth and Kanye West, a big part of what was going on with him all involved Queen Elizabeth and him singing at Glastonbury. And he was singing the Queen song, just all kinds of stuff connected to it. It'll take forever to re-explain. I'll leave some links in the description. But in regards to 262, the word Queen, the small way, equals 26, and it equals 62, the big way. 262 involves both of them numbers. The word God also equals 26. So, I don't know. Just, it's a very special number. 9/19 is also a day connected to political assassinations. It was the day that James Garfield died at the train station. If you've been following the news for the last few years, there's been all kinds of Amtrak derailments, all kinds of train symbolism. So anyway, also I noticed that July 6, 2015 just so happened to be 4 months and 4 days before my 33rd birthday. You know, the kill number. So just makes me wonder. November 10th, also the day that leaves 51 days in the year. Kanye West equals 51. You know, so super fitting, I guess. November 10th also had a date in numerology last year of 56. Also, November 10th is the 314th day of the year, the number that connects to pi. And I think there's something very special about the date in general because it's 1110, like 1110. And in English gematria, there's a whole lot of connections to Jesus and whatnot with 1110. So I think that's why November 10th seems to be a special day and whatnot. You know, possibly could be something else. Martin Luther, the guy who invented Lutheranism, was also born on that day. Just something to think about. Somehow I was born on that day as well. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with my birthday. It's just that date in general. Anyway, let's go back to the little Yachty stuff. I just wanted to point out that people or whatever, somehow something is going on to where when I make videos and people are coding comments and whatever else, you know, what they're trying to show me, I'm not completely positive. But once again, it always seems like it goes back to that September 19th date. Also, really quick, if you go from the date of Nancy Reagan's death and the day that the Lakers beat the Warriors on Shaq's birthday, and that's why the Kwame Brown stuff is so significant. It's because he's 34 years old. Shaq was number 34. Kobe tore his Achilles against the Warriors when he was 34 years old. He scored 34 points in the game. The Lakers got their 43rd win. Kobe came back against the Toronto Raptors exactly 34 weeks later. This year, the Lakers even lost the first game to the Warriors by 34 points. Kobe scored the 34th point. There's lots and lots of 34 around Kobe Bryant. So it's definitely very significant. Anyway, 197 days to 9/19. The word Prince equals 197. Seems like everything that has been involved in stuff this year goes back to Prince, the death of Prince the singer, who died on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, let's move on here. The other album that Lil Yachty has just released July 20th was called Summer Songs 2. And interesting, July 20th could be in 20/7. The word Charles in Jewish gematria, Prince Charles will become King Charles if Queen Elizabeth dies. Charles equals 207. And look at this, it even peaked at 197 on the US Billboard 200. How interesting, the word Prince equals 197. If you write out Summer Songs 2, it has the 68 gematria with the S exception. Little Yachty, also from Mableton, Georgia. Mableton, Georgia in gematria equals 144. Georgia equals 44. If you write out the word 44, it equals 144. This guy also known for wearing his red braids. Every video, everything I've seen him in, he has these red braids in. When you write out red braids, it equals 44. One other interesting thing, and then I'll be done, but this place that he lives in, it's 33 degrees north, and it was named for Robert Mabel, who on September 11th of 1843 bought 300 acres, blah, 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 blah. It's just kind of interesting, right? September 11th makes you think of 9/11. And remember, 33 years before 9/11 2001 was 1968. That was also the year that George Bush graduated from Yale Skull and Bones. It was also the year that 911 was made the emergency dialing number. Anyway, this guy, Robert Mabel, his name in gematria, Robert equals 33, Mabel equals 33, and it's located on 33 degrees north. Also, 84 degrees west, United States of America equals 84. Barack Obama was born on 8/4. Obama equals 84. So, tons and tons and tons of coding within this. I've never even heard of this rapper, really, or this musician, if that's what you want to call him. But, maybe he's a lot more famous than I know, but he's definitely coded to Kanye West. He's connected to the death of Prince. And interesting, when I'm making a post about him, it was going to be just some short little post, and then I get some weird YouTube comment, and it connects back to the 9/19 date that they keep showing me. Just makes me wonder what's going on with that, because I have no idea. I've been talking about it since 2014, so almost 2 years. Anyway, have a good one.